warm welcome to you and a heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for liking my Spotify and YouTube channels and writing in your reviews and your suggestions. If you haven't subscribed to our Spotify channel, please do, so that you can listen to all the videos in their audio form at one place and in one go. Today, we are going to talk about resources and the houses connected with them, be it on the level of finance, family, or for that matter, your learnings. Yes, today we are going to talk about the Panaphara houses. So what are the Panaphara houses? The houses that come in second from the Kendras, that is the second house, the fifth house, the eighth house, and the 11th house. They're known as the Panaphara houses. Now, in the natural zodiac, these houses are said to fall in the fixed signs because the second house of the natural zodiac is a fixed sign of Taurus. The fifth house is the fixed sign of Leo. The eighth house is a fixed sign of Scorpio, and the 11th house is a house of Aquarius. Is the sign of Aquarius. So these houses are very important for us. Why so? Because they relate to our finance, they relate to our family, and they also relate to stability in the life. The fifth house, the second house, all these fixed signs bring about a certain amount of security for us and stability. Yes, we know that the eighth house causes ups and downs, but it also has a share of stability. And we'll talk about them when we come to it. So what does the second house have to say in terms of finance? In terms of finance, the second house talks about your, it talks about your movable assets, the cash in hand, the amount of jewelry one has, the shares and the debentures that one has or has invested in, and they give us a constant source of income for us. They allow us to spend lavishly. The fifth house. The fifth house is a house of the gambling. This fifth house is a house where we can get in short-term gains from the share market, and they give us a high. If our fifth house is strong enough, then it is one of the best Panaphara houses, and such people are likely to gain a lot from the share market and also from lotteries and from gambling. But one thing I'd like to add here is that make sure that your fifth lord is in a good house and is well aspected. Then we come to the eighth house. Well, for those who have a very strong eighth house, they also have monies which come in, that is the unearned wealth, and monies which come in through legacies, monies which come in through your insurance, and monies which come by way of hereditary houses and things like that. The 11th house. When we talk about the 10th house, we know it's a profession. So the gains we have from a profession can be seen from the 11th house. The money, the steady income that we gain from a profession is from the 11th house. So financially, they provide a steady background to us, and they provide an enriching way of life. Now let's move into the family. So when we talk about the family, the second house in terms of family is our family, the family that we are born and brought up in. The fifth house are the elders of the family, and not to forget your guru and preceptor also. So when we have a sound background of the second and the fifth house, we know we are well placed. And the eighth house talks about your the family that you create with your partner, and or rather your partner's family. And when you have a peace and a good support from them, then also there is growth in life. The 11th house talks about the circles that we move in, our friends or associations that we make, and also our spouse and family. So they also provide a steady base for us. Finally, when we talk about our intelligence, so before that, let us see a few things. The Panaphara houses, as we said, are the 2, 5, 8, and 11, and they talk about accumulation and maintenance. And just so that we know, in the tarot, the 2, 5, 8, 11 houses find their representation in many cards. namely for just for us to know and remember. It finds its way in the wheel of fortune, and it also finds its way in the world. So when the 2, 5, 8, 11 houses are churning, life actually undergoes a lot of upheaval. But when the 2, 5, 8, 11 houses are strong and very well adjusted or very well aspected, in that case a person has the ability to achieve the world. So as we continue further, we would definitely like to know or understand which is a very strong of the Panaphara houses. The fifth house of the Panaphara houses is the strongest. Your luck favors and you have the ability to grow high. Then comes the 11th house, where you find your steady income, which in turn generates your movable income. Finally, the 8th house of legacies is much left to your luck and much left to what can be left behind for you from your elders and your partners also. So when we talk about finances again, the second house relates to our personal finances. Fifth house, as we discussed earlier, gains through speculation. Eighth house through inheritance, and 11th through steady income. We come to the Panaphara houses in terms of intelligence, because as I told you, that they are also houses which talks about your mental quotient also. The second house is our house of speech. It talks about how we conduct our behavior with the others, which can in a way be taken as a valuable asset for us and can generate many a valuable asset for us. The fifth house talks about our intelligence. It talks about our mental facilities running strong so as to generate a strong family or to also generate a lot of income for us. The eighth house gives us an insight to a lot of things, how we need to plan things out, what do we have in life that will move ahead, all these things. And the insight that comes is where you are able to see things or see through things that others are not able to assess. And finally, when we talk about the 11th house, the 11th house is also the house of discovery, and the discoveries that we make, the way we communicate to our ideas to the world, ends up making a famous personality, because the 11th house finally also gives us a lot of name and fame. So when people have planets in these houses, especially if they're in square to each other, then a person will have the ability to earn or to get a good name and fame. We take the chart in case of a spiritual gain, or in case of a financial gain, we talk about the chart of Manmohan Singh ji. Manmohan Singh ji is one of the very well-known and famous finance minister and ex-prime minister of India, and his knowledge of finance, his ability to resurrect the financial situation of India and also give sound advice is well known worldwide. He's invited in many prestigious organizations to give talks about financial situations the world over. We look at his chart. His 8th house is very strong, and so is his 2nd house. With the second lord in the 2nd house, albeit retrograde, and that being Saturn, that means he would have to put in a lot of hard work to generate that kind of knowledge. His family would be supportive, but he would need to put in a lot of hard work to be able to make it. But he would definitely make it, because Saturn delays but never denies, and Saturn can be slow. But once started, that Saturn is unstoppable. Again, the Saturn also aspects his 11th house, which gives him a strong knowledge, a strong base of generating income, name, and fame for others and his country. And when we talk about his 5th house, his 5th house is also aspected by a very strong planet, Jupiter, from the 9th house. So it gives him luck, and it also gives him an ability to speculate and to become famous. When we talk about the 8th house, his 8th house is very beautiful because it talks about in terms of Vipreet Rajyog. There is the 12th lord, the 8th lord, and the 6th lord in the 8th house. His ability to have a great insight and to fight unstoppingly in times of, if you can say, in dire need, in times of dire need, and come out victorious, is something that we can see very well in his chart, and something that has reflected very soundly in his life. So we know that the Panaphara houses 2, 5, 8, and 11 are very important and very, and if they're sound, if they're very strong in a person's chart, then the person is likely to be good with finances, earn finances, yes, and to know how to manipulate or how to work with finances is something that the person will have the ability. So please do write into us and see how these houses make an impact in your life, because these houses, though we may not take them seriously, but we have just seen how strong and how important they are. So write in to us and do let us know what, how they operate in your chart. Till we meet with you again, stay
Please
safe.
hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.